What's up? It's Billy Briz back at it again with the Draftkings Fanduel picks and predictions and lineup construction video. Make sure you follow me over on Instagram over at Billy Briz DFS for all my plays and picks. I'm currently dealing with some problems over at Twitter, but you can still follow me over on Twitter at Getting Bills. This video is brought to you by Pub Sports Radio. Make sure you check out the Talking Hands podcast coming on tonight for the breakdown of UFC 253 in Abu Dhabi. And make sure you check out the live betting stream for tomorrow. I'll be on there with the Talking Hands cast of Jeff and Preston, Nick at Mr. Fat Fist, Mo at Mo's Scream Fight. Sorry, Mo, if I'm saying that wrong. And Mills over at MMA Locker Room. So on the stream, we usually talk about our Insta props, stuff like just like the short version. Insta props are kind of like rounds, like under, over, and then types of finishes if there's like a finish on a prop on a fighter that we like. And then you also might see a double play on there. It's like a short version of combining two sports of like a UFC pick with like an NBA pick or an NFL pick. And then you also might see a triple play where we take a fighter, a prop, and the under on the rounds. What's up, Mo? Thank you for the love and the thumbnail too. Shouts to Mo for the thumbnail. But let's get into this video and breakdown for this week. The first thing that I want to do is start off at the 6K range for running backs. The 6K range for running backs is where the bread and butter is going to be made this week. As you can see, the cover boy himself, Miles Sanders, at $6,400. He was on the plays last week. I talked about him. He was more of a GPP play, but against Cincinnati at home, he should be in a perfect game script scenario. And the best thing about it is I feel like that he's game script proof the way he's played so far. Last week, the game script didn't really go as planned, but he still got 20 carries, 3 receptions, and 7 targets. And also without Jalen Reagor, he could definitely see more usage in the passing game. As we go down a little bit more, I really also like Kenyon Drake at $6,000, the Arizona Cardinals running back. He has been slightly, I would say modestly, hasn't really broke out yet. But it's all it takes is the Detroit Lions matchup because they have been getting absolutely gashed on the ground so far this season, man. It's been really, really bad for them on the ground this season. So I feel like I'm going to go right back to the well again with Kenyon Drake at $6,000. Going down a little bit more is going back up a little bit more is Austin Eckler. I put him at number 3. The only reason why I have him at number 3 is because the Panthers run defense is just like a freaking something that I want to attack every week because they're just absolutely garbage. I know Joshua Kelly's getting the red zone touches in there, but dating back to last season, the Panthers have allowed multiple touchdown games to running backs in 7 straight games. So Austin Eckler would definitely make the player pool at $6,800. With Justin Herbert in there, you saw that he was a little bit more pass friendly and a little bit more, broke out the offense just a tad bit more. You saw the dump offs. You saw everything that we thought about Austin Eckler coming into the season in week 2. And I will be going right back to the well with him again at $6,800. Also, right behind him is James Conner. He is a great GPP play for this week. He had 16 touches for 106 yards on the ground, and then he had 2 targets for 15 yards. And the best thing about James Conner is I feel like the ownership's not going to be on him this week because of his performance week 1 against the New York Giants. But I think this is a good buy low window for James Conner this week. And also rounding out the 6K running back range is going to be Chris Carson, the Seattle Seahawks running back. I will get a little bit more in depth talking about that play deeper into the video. As you go down the list a little bit more, another spot that I want to target is the below 6K range. There's going to be some running backs in here that are going to pop in projection systems because of the injuries that happened this week to the stud running backs. The first one I'm going to talk about is my favorite. His name is Mike Davis. The only thing is about Mike Davis, I feel like he's going to garner a lot of ownership in cash games, but the only problem is I feel like Mike Davis is a trap type of play, but I will still get exposure to him in GPPs because this game environment seems very nice for him, and he will be getting all the touches. I know some people wanted to stash Reggie Bonifant as a backup, but they have kind of proven that Mike Davis is the running back that they want to use if Christian McCaffrey is out. The only problem is with Mike Davis, I feel like he might – we're going to rely on this right here, the 8 receptions for 8 targets for 74 yards type of thing, because that's really where his floor is going to be at. But at $5,100, I feel like he can easily pay off that price tag. Going down a little bit more, one of the biggest waiver wire additions this week was Jerick McKinnon. He's supposed to be the expected starter with Raheem Mostert being out of the lineup this week. He is priced at $4,900, which I feel like is a little bit mispricing him in this situation because Jerick McKinnon is just a freak athlete. I don't even have to pull up his player profile status because, if you play fantasy football long enough, Jerick McKinnon's always been a talented player, but always has dealt with injury problems throughout his career. But as we go over to the running back core over there, Jeff Wilson is also at $4,000. He's expected to get an increased role this Sunday versus the Giants, and I feel like they're going to really rely on Jeff Wilson more than Jerick McKinnon in the red zone. So if you want to chase some touchdowns at a cheap price tag for GPPs, I feel like Jeff Wilson can definitely make the player pool as well. But as we can kind of step off a little bit about the running backs, let's talk about the studs of the slates. My favorite studs of the slates is number 1, Ezekiel Elliott, in this perfect game script against Seattle. This has the highest over-under on the whole entire slate. So I'm right back to the well with Ezekiel Elliott. Last week I was pretty happy with the performance of Ezekiel Elliott. I was a little bit concerned because I usually don't like to stack a quarterback and a running back in my cash game for just certain purposes. I feel like it kind of negatively correlates with each other. But last week, I kind of just went against the grain and did it, and it kind of worked out not exactly how I planned because both of them fumbled on the first 2 drives consecutively back-to-back. But I feel like Ezekiel Elliott has a little bit more upside than Dak this week, so I'm going to go with Ezekiel Elliott and hammer that right back to Ezekiel Elliott this week. And also my second favorite stud is going to be Russell Wilson. He has been absolutely smashing for the Seahawks this season. They finally unleashed Russell Wilson and let him fully capture the upside that we all have been waiting for, or seeing glimpses of, I should say, because we know how good Russell Wilson is. He is the highest priced quarterback on this slate, so I feel like he makes as a good GPP option because being the highest priced quarterback on the slate in one of the highest game totals of the slate, he makes out for a good GPP option. And running it back on the other side, I talked about him in the Ezekiel Elliott comment, $7,200 for Dak Prescott. The only reason why I don't want to hammer Dak Prescott this week is because he got 3 rushing touchdowns last week, and that really saved Dak's numbers because he was a little bit modest in the passing game. The yards were there, as you can see, with 4,000. I said 4,000. Shows I need something to eat today. But 450 yards last week. That shows the upside that he can get without the rushing touchdowns. But there's a lot of quarterbacks this week that definitely will garner some of my ownership. And I feel like I want to get a little bit different at the quarterback position this week because there's a lot of names over there that I really do like. But let's look at the wide receiver position because I'm not going to give you the obvious plays at the wide receiver position, but I'm going to give you the below 6K plays. Like everybody knows to play the Dallas receivers and the Seahawks receivers for this upcoming slate. But if we get into the below 6K range, there are some mispriced receivers still. I'm trying to find, where is my main man? My main man Deontay Johnson, $5,400. He's looking like the Steelers' number one wide receiver over Juju Smith-Schuster. It's not really reflective in the pricing, but the stats will say differently. He practiced fully Thursday, so I don't want to see in the comments section, hey, man, what are you going to do if Deontay's out of the lineup? No, Deontay's in the lineup this week. I'm playing him $5,400 against the Texans. Modest cornerbacks. This is another smash spot. He will reach the 6K price range after this week. It kind of showed last week with 13 targets, 8 receptions, with 23 fantasy points on DraftKings last week. I smashed him in FanDuel lineups also as well. So it was a really good week. Also at $5,400 is CeeDee Lamb. He is my favorite Dallas Cowboys receiver coming into this week. I know Amari Cooper is probably going to be the safest one, but there's couple wide receivers in that price range that you can kind of pivot off towards. But I feel like CeeDee Lamb at $5,400 with Michael Gallup just being just a tad bit more. Those two are going to garner a little bit ownership. But I feel like CeeDee Lamb is the better play. 6 receptions, 9 targets for 100 yards, and we still haven't seen him find the end zone yet. And I keep on hinting at this being the highest game total of the week. So CeeDee Lamb right back to the well again, $5,400. We'll go down a little bit to the 4K range. My favorite 4K range wide receiver this week is going to be Mike Williams of the Los Angeles Chargers. I know this is a really good spot for Keenan Allen this week, but at $4,300 on DraftKings, that is a mispricing because on FanDuel, he's in the CeeDee Lamb, Deontay Johnson range for wide receivers pricing wise, but on DraftKings, they have him really mispriced at $4,200 on FanDuel. That's basically saying that FanDuel's basically saying that he's like a $5,500 through $500,000 play range on DraftKings, but he's priced at $4,200. So I do like Mike Williams this week. You can use him as a one-off. You can use him as a stack. I talked about a couple pieces from that game already. It's a really nice game environment for this week. But the wide receiver that I really want to talk about is Denver's KJ Hamler. Usually I don't like to read the Roto World DraftKings analysis thing that they have, but I feel like this one absolutely describes the reason why KJ Hamler is a really good play at bare minimum $3,000 this week. He actually finished with more offensive snaps and the same amount of targets as first rounder Jerry Jeudy, who's also dealing with some he's a little bit dinged up with a rib injury. I expect him to play, but he might not get the full amount of snaps that we all project him to get. But with Sutton being down for the season, there's room for both players along with Tim Patrick and 3 wide receiver sets. KJ Hamler, we'll go over to Player Profiler. They kind of give a really good synopsis of the upside of a player and the type of player he really is. I don't want to get too deep into his stats and stuff like that. You can kind of do that for your own self. But the part that I really want to highlight right here is his best comparable player, which is Deshaun Jackson. And that shows the type of player that he is in this offense. I know Tampa Bay has looked very improved defensively this year, but the way they attack them is in the passing game. And KJ Hamler at bare minimum price, he kind of really opens up the slate on DraftKings. There's not a lot of DraftKings this week. Without Christian McCaffrey, there isn't really like a pay up stud besides Zeke. And Zeke's a little bit, I would feel like, in the middle of the range for where we usually see the highest price running backs. But I feel like KJ Hamler kind of unlocks you to play whatever quarterback you want as a stud. And mix in with all the studs that I talked about earlier in the video. Another player that I'll talk about is Derrick Bird. I am absolutely jacking Derrick Bird's name up right now, though. But Derrick Bird, also at $3,000, he saw 9 targets, had 6 receptions, 72 yards last week. He was playing across from N'Keal Harry. I feel like N'Keal Harry obviously is a better player than Derrick Bird, but at $3,000, he doesn't really have to do a lot to pay off this price tag, and I'm looking to play Cam Newton this week. So Derrick Bird is the receiver that I'm going to stack Cam Newton with this week. As I get into a little bit deeper into the video real quick, I want to talk about my favorite game stacks for this upcoming weekend. Obviously, everybody's going to be stacking this Dallas and Seattle game, but I kind of want to get a little bit different in this game because there's a lot of good pieces in this game, and with it being such a high total, you can't own everybody in this game. But the first player that I'm going to talk about in this game that might go a little bit under owned is Chris Carson. If you're going to play Dak at quarterback, fade Zeke, maybe play a guy like Derrick Henry instead of Zeke. I feel like Chris Carson's the perfect kind of like pivot from where everybody's going towards this week. Chris Carson has $6,600. You know how Pete Carroll is in the media. He always talks up some bullshit, to be honest with you. He was talking up the bullshit about Carlos Hyde. You know, they're going to split carries, this, that, and the third. But it hasn't really been reflective of that so far this season. Chris Carson still has not got a rushing touchdown yet, but he's gotten 3 through the air so far. That shows the upside that he has. The main thing that I really look forward to for my running backs is how they are utilized in the receiving game, because it gives you many outs. You don't always have to score touchdowns, and especially on a website like Draftkings where it's full point PPR compared to Fanduel's half point PPR. Chris Carson gets a little bit of a bump here in this situation. Going down a little bit, I'm not going to talk about the Amari Cooper, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Michael Gallup, CD Lamb. You know the play of those guys. But the tight end that I want to talk about is Dalton Schultz. He might actually be on your waiver wires this week if you're in a little bit of a shallower league. Dalton Schultz at $4,500. I thought he was just an average guy, but last week he had 9 receptions, 10 targets, 88 yards, and a touchdown. I just feel like anybody in this Dallas offense that's catching passes is going to be relevant. He's going to take over the Blake Jarwin role. Everybody kind of had Blake Jarwin as a dark horse sleeper coming into this season, but Dalton Schultz is going to have to step up for Blake Jarwin because Blake Jarwin is hurt right now. And you saw that last week that he's just not an average guy. He's a guy in the Dallas Cowboys offense, and the guy in the Dallas Cowboy offense is going to be fantasy reliable and score a lot of points. You can look at his player profiler and get a little bit more of an idea of the type of player that Dalton Schultz is. Another game stack that I like, the last two I'm going to talk about are a little bit off the radar a little bit. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about game stacks this week, but have not really talked about this Las Vegas Raiders Patriots game. There's really good spots to pick at this week for week 3, because everybody feels like they have an idea of what the NFL is going to look like, this, that, and the third. But if you, one of the things I like to do at the quarterback position is flip the fantasy points per game and go down like that. And as you can see, Cam Newton is third at $6,700, and even better of a price tag on FanDuel, to be honest with you, at $7,700. Cam Newton is going to be just everything for this Patriots team. He has looked phenomenal through the early part of the season. Him and Christian McCaffrey lead the league in rushing touchdowns. Cam Newton ranks in the top 8 in yards and completion percentage. Week 2, he rushed and passed for 444 of the 464 yards, which he accumulated and accounted for 95% of this Patriots offense. And they have a pretty nice Vegas total this week. So I'm going to show you what a low owned stack could be like while you mix in with the Seattle and Dallas game. You can play Cam Newton. I'm not really too interested in Josh Jacobs this week with Miles Sanders being right there and Jonathan Taylor also as well. You can plug in Cam, stack him with Derrick Bird, bring it right back with Darren Waller. He's going to be my favorite tight end to pay up for this week. There's not really Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews to pay up for on this slate this week. So I feel like Darren Waller is going to be the best option when you're paying up, because he's just the number one receiver for the Raiders. I don't know how many people saw that Island game, but I was on the Pub Sports stream with Mo, Nick, and MMA Locker Room, aka Mills, and we're watching Darren Waller, and Darren Waller was just looking like a freaking beast out there, man. He was, every time I felt like we're talking about the game, it was all about Darren Waller. Darren Waller, Darren Waller, Darren Waller. Let me go to the comment section real quick and finish that up before I get into my last favorite stack of the day. Vrain said, is Ertz, Edelman, and Kelly a good trade for Michael Thomas? I would be a little bit hesitant on that because of Ertz and Edelman. Edelman's kind of a good play. Kelly's a hot commodity right now, but Ertz, we want to see a little bit more of what Ertz can do without Jalen Reagor being in this offense, because Dallas Goedert has just been outplaying him so far this week. Is Josh Jacobs going to be good this week? I'm playing him for season long, but I will not be playing him for DFS. It's week 3, bro. And skip all the Panthers. I don't know what that's really referring to. Wilson for MVP. Don't ask, don't tell. Yes, that is true. Wilson for MVP this season. And what's up, Razor Sharp Picks? Make sure you check out his horse betting racing show. And like he said here, slam the like button and comment in the description and video your start-sit questions also as well. And if you need a book, use mybookie.ag, promo code PubSports, and get yourself a little bit of a discount when you're looking for some lines this weekend. But back into this video, one of the games that I'm going to stack for GPPs that I'm going to hope that pays off this week, this is one of my favorite games to stack because the point per dollar play of Miles Sanders is so nice. This is how I'm stacking this game for GPPs this week. I'm putting Miles Sanders in here. I don't know how I'm going to feel about Deshaun Jackson yet. He is not slammed into this lineup, but I kind of do like AJ Green. His air yards, if you look at the air yards, he's in one of the league leaders for air yards this season at $6,000. I feel like this is a great buy low GPP spot for AJ Green because if you look at the box scores, people always want to pick on the box scores for players, and that's the reason why they want to put them in the player pool, not just actual raw stats projection wise. And I feel like AJ Green in this situation this week against the Eagles is in a perfect game script, and I'm going to stack him with rookie quarterback Joe Burrow at $6,200. I feel like Joe Burrow is one of my favorite GPP options. He's not going to get the most ownership, but I don't think he's going to be the first name people click on this week. But Joe Burrow at $6,200 makes for a great bring back for Miles Sanders in the game stack. If you look at Joe Burrow's stats throughout his rookie season so far, it's pretty good, to be honest with you. Week 1, he only had one passing touchdown, but he kind of made up for it with the rushing touchdown. And week 2 against Cleveland, he kind of, I wouldn't say broke out, but he definitely broke out. Over 300 yards, caught that bonus, and he got the 3 touchdowns as well. 28 fantasy points against the Philadelphia Eagles, who kind of just give up a lot of points to quarterbacks. I like Joe Burrow this week, and the real part that I like Joe Burrow this week is because I'm going to go back out a little bit and give you a quick synopsis of the quarterback position. The quarterback position this week, once you get off the chalky guys of Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, and Kyler Murray, when you get into the 6K range, you can, at the bottom of the 6K range, you can kind of really make pivots for yourself here. And that's the pivot that I'm going to make for myself. You have Deshaun Watson, Ben Roethlisberger, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, and Justin Herbert there. But I feel like people are going to overlook Joe Burrow there at $6,200. That's a pretty warranted price tag also as well. Yeah, Joe Burrow is definitely going to be in my GPP lineups this week. My favorite point per dollar tight ends for this upcoming weekend is going to be going down. The tight end that we're going to lock in this week is going to be Logan Thomas of the Washington football team, $3,700. They still haven't gotten to his price tag yet, but he's just been really good for this Washington football team. He's just running a lot of routes on Hoskins. I can't even say his freaking last name right. Haskins dropbacks. But Logan Thomas this week, he is going to smash. Make sure you play Logan Thomas this week. Fanduel, Draftkings, bets, player props, Logan Thomas. I couldn't really get up to him. I did get up to him last week, but I couldn't get up to him in my cash game lineup because my main man, VCU former basketball player himself, Mo Ali Cox, he was bare minimum price at $3,000 last week, and he was the absolute smash spot last week against the Minnesota Vikings. I wish he ran a little bit more routes, but every time he ran a route, he was basically targeted. But at $3,800, if Jack Doyle's out this week, I'm going right back to the well again at Mo Ali Cox at $3,800. So let's talk about some of the lineup construction that we're going to do this week for DraftKings. This is a little bit longer video than it usually is, but week 3, there's a lot to talk about. But the first player that I'm going to plug in this lineup is Kyler Murray. Then we're going to put in Ezekiel Elliott. We're going to play the best play of the slate. Make sure you just lock button in Miles Sanders at $6,400. Remember week 1 when everybody was talking about Miles Sanders against the Redskins and he was like one of the most owned plays of the slate? Well, right back to the well again, Miles Sanders, $6,400. And the last running back that we're going to plug in for this lineup, since we're going to attack the Panthers' funnel defense, we're going to plug in Austin Eckler at $6,800. And then wide receiver wise, we're going to plug in Hopkins. We're going to put in a mispriced player, Mike Williams, and we're going to play KJ Hamler, $3,000. And then at the tight end position, we're going to play Logan Thomas, like I said earlier, a couple seconds ago. And then that leaves you with $2,800 left with the Eagles defense to correlate with your Miles Sanders pick. That is how the cash game builds are kind of going for me this week. I'll post all these up a little bit. Those are my favorite 6K range running backs. Miles Sanders, Kenyon Drake, Austin Eckler, James Conner, and Chris Carson. My favorite under 6K plays are Mike Davis, Jerick McKinnon, and Jeff Wilson at the running it back position. I talked about the studs of the slate already. I probably left out Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry is a great pivot off of Ezekiel Elliott this week. He last week didn't smash in the spot that we all wanted him to do, but if you told me that my running back got 25 carries on the ground and he only scored 8 fantasy points, I would probably bet against you and sell you your bullshit in me. So I'm going to go back down the well again. Derrick Henry, $7,800 against this dog shit Vikings defense. Has anybody been watching the Vikings this year? They have been looking absolutely putrid this year. But my favorite below 6K wide receivers, this is where the bread and butter is going to be made at on this slate, is Deontay Johnson, CeeDee Lamb, KJ Hamler, Mike Williams, and Demir Bird. My top game stacks of the week were Dallas, Seattle, Las Vegas, New England, Cincy, and Philly. And my favorite defensive picks this week are going to be the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals have absolutely been shocking everybody this season so far defensively. And if you're looking for a fantasy team to pick up on the waiver wire for defense, Arizona Cardinals, they played the Detroit Lions this week, the Lions and then the Panthers. So they have a nice little schedule coming up right here. I think the Cardinals kind of really get into a groove, and they could definitely be the most improved team this season with DeAndre Hopkins over there. And let's talk about FanDuel real quick before we get on out of here. FanDuel, dude, I just don't know. Like, Like I'm just gonna show you the type of shit that you can do on FanDuel this week. Instead of talking about the players, I'm just gonna show you can play everybody on FanDuel this week. It's absolutely crazy. So I'm definitely interested in playing a lot of people on FanDuel. Here, I'll show you what you can do on FanDuel this week. You can play Kyler at $8,400. You can put him with Zeke. Then Miles Sanders, $7,400 is such a mispricing on here. Also, $6,700. Jonathan Taylor is going to be a smash spot on FanDuel this week. And you can also play Kenyon Drake, dude, at $6,500. What that is on DraftKings is it's like not even close to the same exact pricing. DeAndre Hopkins, we're gonna put in DK Metcalf, who I feel like he's a really good play in general, but on DraftKings, him and Lockett are kind of like back to back of each other. But on FanDuel, Lockett's priced up to $6,800, but DK Metcalf is $300 cheaper. So I'm gonna save the money and go with DK. Definitely more on. I'm gonna have ownership of both, but definitely more on FanDuel than DraftKings. And CD Lamb also as well is a good play on here. Let me just type these players in real quick. CD Lamb. We're going to plug in Logan Thomas. Hopefully with some of these injury news that we get later on in the day today, this will open up the slate just a tad bit more than it already has. The Falcons are $2,800, kind of in the middle of the pack range on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, they're one of the cheapest defenses of the week. And sometimes in defenses, what you want to do to get the best defense for fantasy is they need to be in a passing game scenario. And I feel like if Atlanta does beat up on the Bears, like how everybody projects him to do this week, Mitchell Trubisky is a turnover prone type of player. So he's going to be passing a lot in this game. So I definitely do like the Falcons defense at $3,200. I will be playing a lot more of them on FanDuel than on DraftKings, but I do like them on DraftKings as well. If you're looking for a GPP type of build on FanDuel, you can kind of switch out Kyler Murray if you feel like that's negatively correlating the two players of Kenyon Drake and Kyler Murray. I do like Drake better than Murray this week. I know I might be crazy for saying that, but Kenyon Drake is going to smash this week. And we're going to plug in Derrick Henry, pip it off of Ezekiel Elliott, and you can plug in the Cardinals defense here at $3,700. It's just FanDuel is just a little bit easier to build this week, but on DraftKings with the emergence of KJ Hamler at $3,000 being a good play, he kind of opens up the slate on DraftKings. But on FanDuel, I feel like he's not a must, but he's definitely something that I will get shares of at $4,500 because I am going to try to play a lot of studs in the quarterback and tight end position. I usually try to pay down at those positions, but this week with the way the pricing's set up, I definitely feel like you can kind of get away with a lot of different stuff that we haven't been able to get away with so far. Honestly, let me know in the comment section if this DraftKings slate is just like the DraftKings and FanDuel slate for week 3 this week is just like way different than what we're accustomed to seeing on DraftKings and FanDuel, like having DeAndre Hopkins basically like the highest priced wide receiver, and also Christian McCaffrey being out on this slate. It's definitely given everybody flexibility to do whatever they please. But I'm about to head on out of here for this video, but make sure you check out Pub Sports Radio, like and subscribe this video. Check out Talking Hands podcast tonight. They will be breaking down UFC 253 later on tonight. And make sure you check out the live stream for tomorrow at Pub Sports Radio. You're going to see me, Nick, Mills, Mo. Make sure you follow them too, because everybody kind of gives out plays and stuff like that. So we'll have plays before the show, on the show, during the show, after the show. And me and Nick have a predictor war going on for tomorrow. Loser has to freestyle rap social media contented video. So I'm hoping that I can beat Nick in this predictor award because he's on Costa over Izzy. I don't want to give away my picks, but I'm on my man Israel Adesanya. But that is this week's video. Make sure you follow me over on Twitter at Getting Bills, and make sure you follow me over on Instagram at Billy Briz DFS. Everything is in the description for my social media links and where you can find me audio version wise, because I do have a Apple podcast and Spotify show also as well, that where I talk about a little bit more in depth about NFL plays. But I'm out of here. Have a good weekend and good luck to you. Hopefully I see you guys in chat. Make sure you comment your start sit questions. I will make sure I will answer every one of them. See you.